Hey everyone, it's Alex, and I am here with my very late video going over the winners for the 72nd Tony Awards as well as a review of the ceremony. Now, I apologize for how late this video is, but as I've said in other videos before, I get preoccupied with other things and these videos get put on the back burner as a result. Usually when there's a lull in award show news coming out, I'm less motivated to make videos, and so therefore I don't put a lot of pressure on myself to get the videos out in a timely fashion. But once fall comes around and we get like the Golden Globe and Oscar nominations and the news about those categories, then I'll be more quick with these videos. Now, when it comes to the Tonys, this is a unique award show because of the fact that I personally can't vouch for the winners in terms of whether or not I think they deservedly won. Because for me to have seen these shows, I would have had to go all the way to New York City to see them. Sometimes they film a performance of a certain show and put it on a website like Broadway HD, but they don't do that for every single show. If they did, that would be awesome, but that's not always the case. So as I said, I'm not going to be able to say whether or not these were the deserving winners or not. But what I can do is, once I've gone over the winners, I can talk about what musical performances I like the most, because that's what the Tonys are always most well known for, and of course, like I do in all my other awards winner videos, rank my favorite acceptance speeches. So here are the winners for the 72nd Tony Awards. Best Costume Design of a Play, Katrina Lindsay, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. Best Costume Design of a Musical, Catherine Zuber, My Fair Lady. Best Lighting Design of a Play, Neil Austin, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. Best Lighting Design of a Musical, Tyler Michello, The Band's Visit. Best Scenic Design of a Play, Christine Jones, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. Best Scenic Design of a Musical, David Zinn, SpongeBob SquarePants. Best Sound Design of a Play, Gareth Fry, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. Best Sound Design of a Musical, Kai Harada, The Band's Visit. Best Book of a Musical, Itamar Moses, The Band's Visit. Best Choreography, Justin Peck, Carousel. Best Orchestrations, Jamshid Sharifi, The Band's Visit. Best Original Score, Music and/or Lyrics written for the theater, The Band's Visit, Music and Lyrics by David Yazbek. Best Featured Actor in a Play, Nathan Lane, Angels in America. Best Featured Actress in a Play, Laurie Metcalf, Three Tall Women. Best Featured Actor in a Musical, Ariel Stachel, The Band's Visit. Best Featured Actress in a Musical, Lindsay Mendez, Carousel. Best Actor in a Play, Andrew Garfield, Angels in America. Best Actress in a Play, Glenda Jackson, Three Tall Women. Best Actor in a Musical, Tony Shalhoub, The Band's Visit. Best Actress in a Musical, Katrina Lenk, The Band's Visit. Best Director of a Play, John Tiffany, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. Best Director of a Musical, David Cromer, The Band's Visit. Best Revival of a Play, Angels in America. Best Revival of a Musical, Once on This Island. Best Play, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child by Jack Thorne. Best Musical, The Band's Visit. And those are all the winners. Now, as for the show itself, it was a pretty good show. When Sarah Bareilles and Josh Groban were announced as the hosts, I was a little bit nervous because they'd never really hosted anything before, and it came across to me as kind of a cheap ratings ploy since they were associated with musical theater productions in the past, like Waitress and Natasha Pierre and The Great Comet of 1812. So the Tony producers were obviously hoping fans of at least those shows would tune in to see them, as well as just fans of their music careers in general. So even though I was hesitant before going in, they actually did an okay job as the hosts. They had a funny song where they paid tribute to all the eventual losers of the night, of people who were not going to win. They actually had a couple funny jokes here and there. They weren't the same kind of show-stopping host we've seen in the past, like Neil Patrick Harris, Hugh Jackman, or James Corden. But they were certainly better than Kevin Spacey last year, and we're never going to see him host any award show ever again or be in any movie or TV show ever again. And I did think they were also better than Kristen Chenoweth and Alan Cumming in 2015. So, they kept things moving along smoothly. I think the Tony writers knew how to work off of them and use their strengths really well. So they weren't the greatest hosts ever by any means, but they certainly weren't the absolute worst. Now, while I can't judge the winners on a personal level, I can say that based on predictions given by awards experts, the night went fairly predictable as expected in terms of who was going to win. The Band's Visit was expected to win a lot of categories, although many people didn't expect it to win as many categories as it did. It was considered likely to win Best Musical, Best Actress for Katrina Lenk, Best Book, Best Score, Best Orchestrations, but there were a lot of surprise wins too. Like, nobody really expected it to win Lighting Design or Sound Design. Ariel Stachel was considered a surprise win since most awards experts were predicting Norbert Leo Butz for My Fair Lady. And Tony Shalhoub was in a tight race with Joshua Henry from Carousel and Ethan Slater from SpongeBob SquarePants. It was going to be one of those three winning, but nobody had any idea of who it would be until he was announced as the winner. And as a result, The Band's Visit, which has won 10 Tonys, is now like among the top Tony-winning productions of all time. Like, the all-time record for most Tony wins is The Producers with 12. And then second place for most wins is Hamilton with 11. And then, like I said before, The Band's Visit has 10, and the other musicals I can think of that have 10 are Hello, Dolly, the original version, and Billy Elliot, the musical. I can't think of any others at the top of my head that have 10 Tonys. If any theater expert knows, please let me know in the comment section below. But then on the flip side, you have poor Mean Girls. It was nominated for 12 Tonys, and it got shut out with no wins at all. And that leaves it tied with The Scottsboro Boys as the most losing production in Tony history in terms of awards. Mean Girls has at least done very well at the box office over the summer, so at least they can count their success there. Some other surprise wins, according to most experts. Laurie Metcalf was considered a surprise win for featured actress in a play for Three Tall Women. Most people thought it would go to either Denise Gough for Angels in America, with Noma Dumezwini from Harry Potter and the Cursed Child as the best possible upset. But I heard Laurie Metcalf was quite incredible in Three Tall Women, although there were many who felt she should have been placed in lead rather than featured, because the Tonys have a very weird idea about lead versus featured in the past. It always used to automatically be if you were above the title, you were a lead. If you were below the title, you were featured. It's kind of still like that in a lot of cases, but it's up to like the Tony nominators to decide, or also the production of how they wish to campaign. But Laurie Metcalf, she's had a stellar year. She was fresh off her first Oscar nomination for Lady Bird, and then of course she reprised her role as Jackie on the revival of Roseanne, which of course was a massive ratings hit. But of course then the show got abruptly canceled when her co-star Roseanne Barr wrote a series of racist tweets. So maybe sympathy from her Oscar loss, as well as sympathy for having to work with Roseanne Barr, maybe might have helped her gain some sympathy votes from Tony voters. Probably an even bigger surprise win, and this is the last surprise win, according to most experts, was Once on This Island for Best Revival of a Musical. Because Once on This Island, many people thought it would win when it first premiered and got rave reviews from critics. And then My Fair Lady came along, and according to most critics, managed to reinvent some of the problematic areas of its plot to better fit the ongoing Me Too movement. and many felt that because of that it would win. But I guess Once on This Island was just too good to resist. But who knows, maybe it was a close vote in the final tally, but they never released the results of voting for award shows, so we have no idea who won in a close race and who won in a landslide. And then as for the musical performances, and I'm considering all musical performances, whether they were from actual shows or whether they were just one person or a group of people who weren't really connected to any show doing a performance anyway. And so my top 5 would be this. At number 5, I have SpongeBob SquarePants. It was an interesting number they did, and Gavin Lee, who played Squidward, he was the big focus of that number, and his tap dancing skills were quite incredible, especially due to the fact that he has 2 extra fake legs attached to the back of his real ones, in order to give the impression that he's playing a squid. And then at number 4, and this might be a controversial pick because some people hated his performance, was Bruce Springsteen. If you don't know, Bruce Springsteen has a concert show on Broadway right now called Springsteen on Broadway, kind of like an intimate concert setting where he plays most of his songs on like piano or acoustic guitar. And he played his song My Hometown, but as he was playing it, he gave this long story before he started singing, and there were a lot of people who seemed to be really annoyed by that. And admittedly, I was at first. I was like, are you going to sing or what? But then once it was all over, I realized I liked it overall. Number 3 is the band's Visit. Katrina Lang performed this beautiful song called Omar Sharif. It's not like a flashy, showy number like the SpongeBob number, but her voice was absolutely beautiful. Number 2 is Once on This Island. A phenomenal performance, and I can see why it's gotten so many rave reviews and why it ultimately won the best revival of a musical category. And then finally, and I'm sure this would be everyone's favorite musical performance, is the performance from the Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School Drama Club. If you haven't been paying attention to the news, Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School was the high school in Florida where a former student went on a shooting spree and killed many students. And the drama club students from that school were at the Tonys singing the song Seasons of Love from Rent, and their teacher was receiving the Educators Award they give out. And during the performance, the camera would cut to members of the audience, and many of them were crying or trying to hold back the tears because they were about to cry. And I'll admit I got lumps in my throat hearing them sing, and it was just a beautiful, beautiful rendition of that song. Now, here are my top 5 acceptance speeches of the night. At number 5, I have Andrew Garfield. I'm surprised they presented his category at the very beginning of the show, because lead categories at almost any award show aren't usually presented till near the end of the show. But the Tonys have a weird thing where sometimes they do the supporting first and the lead later, and sometimes it's jumbled all over the place. But Andrew Garfield gave a very passionate speech, and he cited the recent Supreme Court case involving a baker refusing to bake a cake for a gay couple on religious grounds. And so he was speaking out against that baker, and good for him. Number 4 is Lindsay Mendez. She gave a very powerful speech about fighting for herself to get good roles, even though she said people wanted her to change her name to make it sound less ethnic, because Lindsay Mendez is Latina, and she said she was told her name would deter her from work, but thankfully it hasn't, and good for her for sticking to her guts and not giving herself a less ethnic name. Number 3 is Glenda Jackson. Glenda Jackson, she's acting royalty, and she can be eloquent in almost anything she does, and this speech was no exception. Number 2 was Tony Shalhoub. He gave a very heartfelt speech about how his parents came to America as immigrants, and of course immigration is a huge political issue right now. And then number 1 is Ariel Stachel. His was the most moving speech of the night, very similar to Lindsay Mendez, in which he describes about being proud of his ethnic heritage. And, you know, he talked a lot about how he was ashamed of his Middle Eastern heritage when he was younger, but now he's proud of it, and how he was proud to be in a show that represents Middle Eastern culture in a positive way. A lot of props to him for doing that, because even the, you know, with the kind of world we live in, it's very important not to stigmatize one culture based on a few radical individuals who do evil deeds. So those are my overall thoughts on the Tony Awards. Let me know in the comment section below what you thought of the ceremony and the winners and the acceptance speeches and all that. And be sure to subscribe to my channel if you have not yet done so you can get my newest videos as soon as they're uploaded. And I will see you guys next time with my review of the Saturn Awards winners. Until then, bye.